So everyone, thank you very much for watching the Dallas Mavericks bit. Cut up a couple clips for TikTok as well, and cut them up into YouTube Reels and Facebook Reels and Instagram Reels, the whole 9 yards. It was a lot of fun to do that. Otherwise, we're going on to the San Antonio Spurs. So San Antonio right now is in a very interesting place. So 20 years ago, when they were in the middle of the dynasty, if you will, they had Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili. They had just had David Robinson retire. Sean Elliott was there a long time. He left. They had Steven Jackson. They had, that. Put it this way. Right now, they have Wemby, Sochan, DeAaron Fox, Stephen Castle from UConn, Devin Vassel, Keldon Johnson, and then they still have Dylan Harper, who's the number 2 overall pick, which Dylan Harper, in my opinion, I think has the highest ceiling of any player in this draft, even more so than Cooper Flag. I like Dylan Harper a lot. I think guards with his ability have the most ability to be good in the long term. I see almost like he has elements of what his uncle and his dad both have. Now, his dad, Ron, was a near damn triple-double player in his prime with the Cavaliers in the 80s. And then he was on the Clippers in the early 90s, I believe, before going to the Bulls. And Derek Harper was on those Knicks teams in the mid-90s that were in the midst of like finals and conference finals, those battles with the Pacers, those battles with the Bulls, those battles with the Magic. So Dylan Harper definitely has a pedigree to be on the top of the NBA. Normally, I don't really go with like the heirs of greats, but this dude, unreal last year at Rutgers. And DeAaron Fox, obviously, his contract situation is going to be an interesting one for San Antonio because it's going to be, is he worth it for them to give? Because DeAaron Fox is like a whole essay question, if you will. Do you give DeAaron Fox that length of a contract? Do you feel comfortable giving DeAaron Fox that length of a contract? And I think that's kind of the million-dollar question with San Antonio because they had Chris Paul. Chris Paul stepped up. He got hurt. He didn't play much at the end of the season. But Chris Paul was the veteran leader, just like he was in OKC, just like he was in Phoenix, just like he was in Houston, just like he was with the Clippers. Chris Paul, it's a shame that the dude never won a title. It's a shame the dude never played the finals. Like, we need to get the dude in the finals. Like, come on now. Chris Paul, he retires, so be it. But if he plays one more year, I hope he gets a championship. That guy, best point guard I've ever seen, Chris Paul. So, all that being said, you have Wemby. You're building around Wemby. Stephen Castle's really good. You have Dylan Harper. Now, those are your 3 young guys, if you will. 2 out of those 3 guys pan out. You're good to go. Wemby, you already know. Between Vassel, Johnson, and Sochan and DeAaron Fox, they're going to have to get value for 2 of those 4 guys because of the way the second apron works. So long term, right now, and the thing with the Spurs is interesting. And I'll start with this. This is going to be a good freaking clip for me. So let me cut it this way. Now let's go back to the draft. Say if they traded that second overall pick and that 14th pick with Carter Bryant. Say if they traded those 2 picks to Boston for Jaylen Brown, right? Jaylen Brown makes $50 million a year. Now, that would basically force San Antonio to have to re-sign De'Aaron Fox at that point to a max extension, the same way that some of these other teams have had to, like Minnesota with Rudy Gobert, like Orlando with Franz Wagner. Like, you'd be in that position, you would have to extend him. Or Jaren Jackson in Memphis, you have to extend him. The same situation that the Bulls are in with Josh Giddey. Do you extend him because he's really, really good for you? Or do you extend him or do you not want to extend him because at the end of the day, you're like, I don't know if he's a long-term player. I don't know if he's a guy you can win a championship with. I don't know if you can build a team around this guy. So I think that's the point. OKC traded them for Caruso, and they got the piece they needed out of Alex Caruso. But Giddey is super productive in Chicago. That was like a really ultimate win-win deal in modern NBA circles. So I'm intrigued to see how they're going to manage that going forward. Now, just like I said with the Mavericks video that I released earlier, I feel like they're a team right now, the Spurs, that they're in between in the playoff. They're in the play-in position, but they could be as high as a 4. I think there are a lot of teams in that 4 to 12 range that are going to be fighting for that 4 to 12 range. We have OKC, that's the 1. Minnesota, I think, and Houston are 2 and 3 still. Denver's 4. And I think after that, you kind of have a little bit of a flux. Now, if Denver's healthy and Cam Johnson's healthy, Jokic and Murray are there, that's a good team because Cam Johnson's going to be better for Denver. But right now, I would say they're third and fourth. And Houston right now is easily second for me. Minnesota is in the flux. San Antonio really could work on that, right? I mean, they have more assets than anything to do with because Carter Bryant is so freaking good. He's solid. Carter Bryant literally could be the guy that has like the Rudy Gobert, Paul George type of career. Like, and he plays like he can give you like a Damari Carroll type of role too. Like he's a good two-way player, physical at Arizona, man. Like that dude can ball. So I love what San Antonio's done. They're playing absolute 2K with the rest of the NBA right now. Popovich retires, so be it. But I mean, I think the Spurs, it's time for a direction. Personally, I don't get the De'Aaron Fox trade. I still don't get it. I said at the time I should have probably been posting more publicly, but like I don't get why they traded for De'Aaron Fox. You're on a track. You were en route to getting a top 5 draft pick in a draft that could have given you Jeremiah Fears, Trey Johnson, or Dylan Harper. Now you couldn't have ever foreseen that you would end up with Dylan Harper number 2 overall, but you do. So now the De'Aaron Fox trade almost seems null and void. You didn't have to give up a lot for him, though. So like. Maybe you maybe you trade Fox. The same conversation we're having with Dallas with Anthony Davis is the same you're going to have with De'Aaron Fox. They're both good veteran players. They're 30 or older or close to 30. But they're players that have been on teams that you almost wonder, based on what else we have on this team and who else we have to pay, I think this is the guy we can do without. And I think when you look at Dallas, you have P.J. Washington, Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively. Unless you're trading 2 of those 3, with one of those other guards for a big-time guard or like a Naz Reid or like a Julius Randle, then guess what? You got to move Anthony Davis. And I think Davis would have good value on a team like, say, in Atlanta, right? Now, if Atlanta decides they want to go all in and they're not getting what they need out of Porzingis, that's a facilitation, right? Obviously, it would have to be a 3-team deal. I can't imagine Porzingis being back in Dallas. But like that could be facilitated, and then Utah could probably be in on that because Utah wanted Porzingis originally. Walker Kessler could be an option the other side for Atlanta. Meanwhile, Lauri Markkanen could be an answer also. It depends. There's so many elements of it. I just think Utah is going to ultimately want to cash in on Markkanen, but I think they're going to keep Kessler with AJ and all those guys next year. I just think there's a lot going on with that roster right now too. But as far as San Antonio, do you trust them? Yes. Should you trust them? Yes. Both guys they drafted were A-plus picks. Now, Carter Bryant, I think, was a top 10 talent. Should have probably been picked in the top 8, just like Derek Queen. Why they traded the first-round pick next year, New Orleans is so stupid. But with San Antonio, they had 2 first-round picks, and they nailed it. Carter Bryant could very well be a contributor year 1, but I think he's going to be a year 2 guy. And if Devin Vassel gets traded at this deadline with Keldon Johnson, then you probably could see him year 1. But it very well could be like a Dillingham, Terrence Shannon situation in Minnesota, where they might have him in the G League for a little bit, first half of the season, get his confidence up. But also, you could see like a James Young element, where like James Young was really freaking good too. Drafted by the Celtics, he went to Maine, balled out in Maine. And I remember because Phil Pressey was still playing on the Maine Celtics at the time. And those guys were carrying Maine. Now Phil Pressey is the coach of the Maine Red Claws. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I think the Spurs are closer to a 50-win team, but I also want to see how they're going to manage to do Fox and Harper, because you could do a lineup of Fox, Harper, Castle, Wemby, and Sochan. That could be a possibility. You could also start Keldon Johnson at the 4 and put Wemby at the 5. Which I prefer. It depends what San Antonio wants to do, but there's a lot of flexibility. They're definitely going to be in the top 5, top 6 conversation for sure.